Well, it's always an honor to be participating in the AFC Championship game. We have a great history, a great deal of respect for the Steelers, the organization, Coach Tomlin, their staff, their players. They're a good football team, playing very well at the right time of year now. Second half of the season, had a good winning streak. They're good at everything, good in all three phases of the game. Very explosive, dynamic team. Turn the ball over, score on offense, pretty much from anywhere. Physical team that plays smart, good situational football. We've seen them do it throughout the course of the year and in the past. So hopefully we can have a good week here and be at our best Sunday night. That's our goal, and that's what we're going to work toward. So we know we got a lot to do, got a lot to prepare for. I think the game earlier in the season is not really that relevant. I mean, it is, but it really isn't. There's a lot of water under the bridge since then. So, again, what the Steelers have done in the last 2.5 months is really what we're going to probably see Sunday night, and that's what we got to be ready for. So, that's where we're at.
So raise your hand if you have questions. We'll pass the mic to you.
Hey, Bill, who sets or what sets the tone for the Steelers' offense? Is it the run game with Le'Veon Bell, or is it the passing game with Ben and Antonio Brown?
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah, they're good across the board. They have a good offensive line. Quarterback doesn't get sacked much. They run the ball well. So I think it all starts up front. They have good skill players. They have a good quarterback. Obviously, Brown and Bell are dynamic players. Tremendous with the ball in their hands, but it's not all them. And again, the offensive line does a good job of making everything go, running game, passing game, you name it. So they're solid, they're well balanced, well coached, they're good. So they're all good all the way around.
Bill, what's distinguished the Steelers of the last 2.5 months from the Steelers of the early part of the season, particularly on defense?
I mean, they're again a solid defense. They made a couple changes in the secondary. Burns and Davis have kind of taken over full time. Shazier came back for our game, but then he's been full time after that. I mean, they really don't substitute any of those back end players. Gay comes in and nickel, but that's it. Tim and Shazier, they never leave the field. 4 DBs, they never leave the field. I'd say a lot of the guys on the front, I mean, they play through it to it. He's hardly ever out of there. Harrison, Dupree's back. So, Dupree, Davis, and, Burns. Burns was playing anyway, but he's kind of taken over for Gay. Gay's just really been the nickel player. They've kind of become full-time players. Hayward, of course, was out, but, Hargrave's done a good job for him in there. Tuitt's a force. And playing good team defense. Again, it's not one guy. There's 11 guys out there doing a good job.
The commissioner hasn't come to a game here in 2 years. He said yesterday that, or the reports yesterday, he's going to be in Atlanta this weekend. Is that something that matters to you?
Yeah, I'm focused on the Steelers.
Bill, just wondering, the secondaries had several good games in a row. How important has their defense been in run support this year for this team in terms of supporting the front seven?
Yeah, it's always important. I mean, the front seven usually has the responsibility in the running game, but there are going to be times in every game and with every team when the ball gets through the front seven and the secondary has to be that next line of defense. And those are plays that could be 5 or 6 yards, or they could be 60 yards if not played properly or tackled well by the safeties and the corners. So corners and safeties are a big part of the perimeter game, but they're also a big part of that secondary net that comes behind the front seven when the ball gets through there to do a good job of leveraging and tackling and keeping those runs to minimal gains. So always critical.
Coach, obviously you guys show the utmost respect to your opponents publicly, but I'm just wondering from a confidence building standpoint privately, do you ever say, hey, if we do this, this, and this, we'll kick their tails?
We do whatever we think is best to try to win the game.
Coach, any concerns about Tom Brady being on the cover of Sports Illustrated? Distraction, bad luck, or are you just not superstitious about that sort of thing?
Focused on the Steelers.
Okay, what they're writing, that's all right.
Hey, Bill. Over here. Obviously, this is a game that comes with a little more pomp and circumstance. There's a backdrop, there's helmets, there's a trophy there.
I know, it's so exciting. Yeah.
Do you regard this as a distraction at all? This type of packed room?
I said it's a great privilege to play in this game. It's two best teams in the AFC. You earn your way to this game. You don't get there by any other. There's no other way to get there. You got to earn it. You got to earn it on the field. You got to go out there and beat somebody. You got to beat a lot of people to get to this game, and both teams have done that. So that's the matchup.
But
We're
not
glad
to get.
be, we're glad to be in the game. Proud to be playing in it. We earned it. They earned it. We'll play Sunday night. See how it comes out. So great to be a part of this game.
Are any of these trappings at all a distraction? Just all the things that come with these games of this magnitude.
That's part of the game.
Bill, I'm just curious about, there's been so much focus on how they've been able to get to the quarterback in the second half of the year. They've also been able to generate turnovers, and in the playoffs, I think they have 5 in the 2 games. How much does your offense and Tom have to be aware of not just the sacks, but ball security, especially against this
We
defense?
found that out on the first play of the game last time. It was an issue from the first play of the game. So there's nothing more important than taking care of the ball. It's number 1 on the hit parade.
Coach, could you reflect for just a moment on what it means to be in this game for the 6th year in a row and what it takes to get here every year?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, we've talked about that before. It's all that's in the past. I mean, I don't really care about that right now. We got a few days left here to get ready for the Steelers Sunday night. That's really what it's all about. We can talk about some other year, some other time.
Coach, you have a player last week who had an historical performance in Dion Lewis. Do you expect a similar type of role for him this week? And how surprised were you that he had the performance he did? And how big of an asset is he to have?
I think everybody at this time of year wants to put their very best out there. Whether it's last week or now it's Sunday night, we're in a 1-game season. We don't have any more than Sunday night's game unless we earn it. So I expect everybody will put their best effort into doing the best they can Sunday night. Myself, the coaching staff, all the players involved in the game, everybody involved in the game, all the sports staff, everybody. I mean, this is what we play for. We worked all year for this to get to this position. We'll put everything we got into it. I would expect that from everybody.
Bill, I know you always say the best team wins, whoever plays better on the field, but having the home field advantage and playing in front of your home fans, how much does that help you?
I don't know. Go ask Dallas and Kansas City.
But do your home fans give you a little extra support here?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, the game's won by the players on the field. I mean, that's who wins football games, players. So, and they'll decide it Sunday night.
With running backs, 3 running backs with 3 unique skill sets, how do you decide at the beginning of the game and maybe at halftime or throughout the game? How do you decide which running backs to use at particular times?
We do what we feel is best for the team, based on whatever the circumstances are. When we make out the game plan and we practice it, and then in-game decisions. So, based on multiple number of factors, along with the run backs and everything else, we do what feels best for the team.
Bill, with Ben Roethlisberger as big as he is, and you're trying to bring him down if you get to him, how do you draw the line in practice with trying to bring him down to where maybe the referees will cause a penalty because you're doing too much?
Doing too much of what?
Meaning, Because you're always after him, trying to bring him down, and sometimes he just doesn't go down that
We're
easy.
after every quarterback. I mean, what quarterback aren't we after? Look, the rules are the rules. We know it's our responsibility, whether we rush, whether it's Ben Roethlisberger or Landry Jones or whoever it is. There's a target zone where we can legally hit the player, where we legally can't. There's things that we can do, and there's things that we can't do. And it's the rusher's responsibility to know that. For us, for every team in the league. I mean, it's no different. So yeah, he's a tough guy to get down. He's very hard. We got to be aggressive, but at the same time, we've got to, got to play within the rules, or it's roughing the passer. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Bill, you mentioned Dupree is a guy who's become a full-time player since you guys last played the Steelers. What's made him an impactful guy for them since he's come back? And I'm wondering if, from what you've seen, they'll ever use guys that are maybe typically classified as edge guys to rush the passer from inside.
Yeah, they do occasionally move those guys inside. I mean, really, they have, kind of four linebackers on the field with Harrison, Dupree, Shazier, and Timmons, or it could be Jones or Chiquillo or whoever those four guys are, with a couple defensive linemen. And so they can put those guys in different spots, and they mix them up and do different things in their down packages. So, yeah, Dupree is, he's long, he's athletic, runs well, but he's got some length. He's our guy to throw over. He does a good job working the edge on the pass rush. They have good depth at that position. The outside linebackers, they have played those guys through the year. It's been more Dupree and Harrison in the last, say, second half of the season, but those other players played, and Jones has done a good job for him in the kicking game. So they've been able to get production out of all those players.
Bill, can you speak to the discipline required of your defensive tackles in the run game to two gap and not get too far up the field and create space for a back like Bell?
Well, just in general, defensively, we have to do a great job playing team defense. So that includes everybody. Again, Bell has great vision, patience, and they have a very good offensive line and a good scheme. So they make it hard to penetrate. There's not many times when guys are running into the backfield against them. So they do a good job of getting on the blocks, staying on them, and eventually, Bell does a good job of creating space or finding space or making it look like he's going to go one spot and kind of enters in another gap. So we're going to have to do a good job across the board, and whatever the defensive tackle's responsibility is, if it's a two gap, if it's the one gap, if it's the whatever it happens to be, then that's what they're going to need to do, and everybody's going to have to do a good job. Again, no one guy can stop the running game. You got to have team defense and multiple players playing good technique, playing the right responsibility, and then tackling's an issue. I mean, even if you play well, you still got to get them on the ground, and that's hard.
Take your final question, Steve.
Bill, how important is it to get off the field on third down, and how key will it be for special teams to play a part in this game?
Yeah, well, third down's always critical. Those are, if you will, kind of turnover plays themselves because there's an exchange of possession depending on how third down goes. So in a kicking game, field position, and of course scoring opportunities, points, they're always important. But field position is always important in a game like this, in every game, but particularly in a game like this with two good teams, the two best teams, being ready to play 60 minutes, ready to expect it to go, all the way. That a few yards here or there can, as we saw last weekend, and a couple of the other playoff games, how a couple of yards can make a difference between field goal range and not field goal range, and it's kind of hidden yardage that could show up somewhere else on a punt or on a punt return or a kickoff or something like that. But then as the ball moves and those few yards become important in terms of field goal range or percentage of accuracy in field goals, that could be critical. We saw a couple of big plays in our game, kicking the ball inside, punting the ball inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard line, putting the opponent on a long field. Again, we saw that in multiple playoff games last weekend. So, those are big plays. Statistically, those So those are worth points. I mean, you got to play defense, you got to get the ball back, you got to convert it, but statistically, those plays create scoring opportunities. So, yeah, sure, it'll be important.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Tom Brady's next.